In the interview, they will try to evaluate you from all aspects. They will ask you about your optional subject. They will ask you about your graduation. So a lot of times, especially engineers, they they are not really confident about their graduation. And I'll tell you my own experience. So they make groups of 6. They group students into 6 and assign them to one interview board. So in my group of 6, I was the only arts graduate and the all others were engineers. Now the gentleman after me, when I met him the next day for the medical test, he told me, oh no Tina, you know, Alka Sirohi ma'am, she asked me all engineering questions and I could not answer them. And then she got very angry as well. And then I feel so dejected, because if just imagine if the board chairman gets angry at you and says that, oh, you're from such a prestigious institution, you don't know the basics. And I am very disappointed in, you know, your entire, you know, you will feel like dying after that. So I think, of course it makes sense if you have a degree in any subject, might be arts, you might be a doctor, you might be an engineer, you might be an MBA graduate. If you have a degree in something, it just shows that you are supposed to be the expert in that subject. And if you are not, then there's a big question mark on you, and the interview board of course will not be impressed. So it's just that when after your mains end, don't think that now I'll go on an extended vacation to Hawaii. No, you can take a day or two off, but after that you really need to go back to what was done in college, like to be in touch with what was done. Of course they understand that it's been a while that you haven't been doing engineering, so they would not expect you to know everything, but yes, the basic stuff, engineering or whatever field you come from. Then of course you have to again go back to your optional. They keep going back to the optional. Then of course they'll ask you a lot about what's happening around you. So right now we read one paper, after mains you have to read 3, but then you don't have to study other things, right? So you have to read 3 newspapers, 2 national dailies and 1 newspaper exclusively dedicated to economics. So you may either read the Business Standard or you may either read the Economic Times, but it has to be an economics related paper, because in February and March first week you'll have the budget and the economic survey coming in, and everybody has to study that, because of course that's what the parliament will be talking about, so that's what the interview board also will be talking about. Apart from that, they might give you situational problems. Alka Sirohi ma'am gave me a situational puzzle. And for instance, the person who was before me was working with the Ministry of Agriculture. So now the discussion might have carried on. So when my turn came, even I was asked 2 agriculture questions. So you might suffer from bad luck like that. Like I had absolutely no connect with agriculture. But then this is UPSC and you have to be prepared for everything. But since you will do so much reading of GS, that you will somehow, of course you can't know everything, but you will somehow know something about everything. That is the beauty of UPSC, it just educates you like anything. When we prepare for this exam, take it as an opportunity not only to increase your knowledge base, but like what I started with, it is going to transform you into a new person. You will suddenly feel that you are one person who now knows a lot of things, and you're a very responsible citizen and you know about your rights. Yes, that is true. Also take it as an opportunity to cultivate yourself as someone who has good speaking skills, because interview is all about communication. They need to understand what you really want to say. Take it as an opportunity to develop yourself as a leader. Take it as an opportunity to even change your opinions. For instance, a lot of times, a lot of my own male friends, of course they would say they believe in gender equality, they would say that they believe that, oh no, women are as good as men are in studies or whatever, but somehow misogyny resides deep in their heart. And in interview, so you know, you might bluff it in prelims, you might not show it in mains, but in interview, when you are under so much pressure, when 5 eyes are staring only at you, somehow you will forget all the pretense, all the acting that you are supposed to do, and things will come out. So if you are someone who believes in religious discrimination, caste discrimination, gender discrimination, this is the time you change yourself, because it comes out. It just comes out somehow, and you just play with your own chances then. You'll feel yourself so bad that you came all the way till interview, and just because you said something, you offended the board some way, and then you have to sit for it again. Let me come to the motivating part, since even that is very important. I know this exam is very tough. I know it's so tough that every second or third day, you would feel that it's too much, I can't take it, I can't do it, this one knows more than me, this one asks more questions in class, or there are a lot of negative things which come into our mind. And when we see our counterparts, when we see our friends who are probably pursuing masters or who are in jobs, we see our boyfriends, we see our girlfriends, and we don't feel good about ourselves. And believe me, that's true, that happens to everyone. This is a very difficult journey, and all of you are very brave that you've decided to undertake it. Not many people have those guts. And always whenever you have that demotivating day, when you don't feel good about yourself, just remember this happens to every aspirant. Everyone who's sitting next to you, if you're feeling this today, he or she will feel that the other day. So it's very normal. Just think it is part of the process of giving the UPSC examination, feeling bad. So feeling bad goes along with giving UPSC examination. And I was fortunate, I could do it in my first attempt, but I have been traveling across the country, and I've been meeting a lot of people, a lot of selected candidates, and I will share only one example with you right now. So some 20-25 days back, I was in Hyderabad, and I met this lady officer who's got selected along with me, and her story is truly inspiring, and her story is really heartwarming. It touches your heart. So this very lovely lady got married really young, and even when she was with her parents before marriage, she used to be discriminated against her brothers. Her brothers were given more educational opportunities, more love and attention, which is the usual case in India in general, many a times, unfortunately. Now, they got her married, but she was very interested in giving civil services. It was her passion, it was her interest, she wanted to go for it. But even her in-laws did not support, her husband did not support. So we keep on hearing a lot of examples where, okay, the financial circumstances were not right, but family supported. Here, neither the financial circumstances were good, neither was there any support, nor from her parents, her brothers, her husband, her in-laws. But then this girl wanted to give the exam. So she still, fought against everybody, and she said, no, I'm going to sit for the exam. So she gave her first attempt, and she failed. Now, again, we know how the rishtedars are, how everybody is like, तुमसे कुछ नहीं होने वाला, घर बैठो, खाना बनाओ, बच्चे पैदा करो. But she wanted to. She gave a second attempt. Again, she failed. She had to listen so much from her parents, in-laws, everybody in society, everybody. Then she sat for her third attempt. She again failed. And her husband started living away from her. And that's something big, I think women here will realize. But she wanted to become a civil servant. So she gave a fourth attempt, and finally she made it. And she's got selected into the Indian Foreign Service. So, that's the passion we are talking about. Because, the routine gets boring. You get up every day, you study so many hours, you go to coaching, you come back. It gets boring after a while. And then, your mind starts getting distracted that, oh, I don't want to study. So it is, of course, very difficult. But if you have targets set for every day, like I used to plan things for 3 months in advance, that for the next 3 months, this is what I'm going to do every day. The scheduling took a whole day to make, but then for the rest of the 3 months, I was pretty sorted. So when I had targets every day, that okay, today I'm going to complete this, and if I don't complete this today, then my next day target is also there. So I'll just have so much backlog. So if you have targets every day, if you have planned, if you have some planning, you have some timetable, you have some schedule, then things become a bit easier, and you're more easier in the sense you're able to force yourself to study. that if I don't study, then this will get, I will not finish this, then iska backlog ho jayega. So if you have targets every day. So one thing which always helps is that for answer writing, we follow a standard format in which there will be 2 to 3 lines of introduction, then there will be a main body, and then we'll have again 4 to 5 lines of conclusion. So if you follow this format in every question, in every answer, the good thing is you're trying to project to the examiner that you're very logical in your thoughts, you're very organized in your thoughts. So one thing you can do is this. The next thing is, a lot of times, because UPSC would never ask you direct questions, they'll ask you very twisted questions. So actually the real fight is to understand what they're actually asking. So I think take 30 to 40 seconds just to understand the question, what exactly is being asked, and then try to elaborate that in the answer. So people who understand the question well, they get good marks, and most people we just start panicking just by looking at the question, and we don't really take out time to understand the question, and then we write anything and we don't get marks. So that is the second thing you need to be careful. If you practice one answer every day after your prelims, I think in a month you'll be able to write good answers. But it takes a month, so don't get disheartened. And of course, when you'll begin writing, you'll take nearly 15-20 minutes for one answer, when in fact in exam you only get some 6.5 to 7 minutes. But that will happen when you are writing your mains. So don't worry if right at the outset, right at the beginning, you're taking 15 to 20 minutes. It is natural. Everybody does that. And gradually in a month, you'll be cool with it.